Hi, I know you were expecting someone else, but I'm Grace. I am Gwen's twin sister, and I'm taking over today.
Yay! What are we going to do today, Grace? I'm here, everyone. Don't worry.
We're going to be talking about this book right here. Our new story. It's a channeled book, and guess who it's by? Or who
Moi.
channeled it? Gwen.
Gwen
We'll do.
Juvenal. All right. I'm so excited to be your guest, Grace. Let's get this show on the road. Intergalactic beings of multi-dimensional realities. Welcome to channeling.
All right. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
We
have
are
now landed.
So I don't know if a lot of your audience is aware of this, but before Gwen started the podcast, Welcome to Channeling, she channeled a book. And the first book that she channeled was called Our New Story.
Yes.
Our New
Guides in the
Story,
Garden.
Guides in the Garden, Volume 1. Now, what does Guides in the Garden mean, Gwen? Tell us what that is.
That's a beautiful question. So Guides in the Garden is when I opened to channeling, I was kind of wondering, I didn't know what to call my guides or anything. And when I opened to channeling near the beginning, and even before I kind of officially opened to channeling, I would open to this space, which was considered my garden. And there were different places in it that I would visit. There was a space, that looked out upon the garden. There was a space where I felt kind of my life spark was. There was all these beautiful things. And when I opened to it, my guides connected me further into that garden and said, this is a safe space for you to come and be with us in your kind of imaginary world. I guess you could say, you could call it that, but other people say it's actually kind of the next realm beyond. It's stepping into our creative potential. That's how I saw it. And so when I opened, that's what I started calling my guides in the garden. And I actually asked them, like, what do I call you? And they kind of lovingly coined that phrase for me. It came through me. And there were different versions and different aspects that started coming through, but that was the beginning of me tying into my guides. Was this group, or this specific part of my soul entity, I guess you could say, being fully dedicated in the true creative potential of what life was. And so that's what this book comes through, is that real affirmation of us being creative entities, us being on a creative, godly journey, in fact. And so that was the kind of source of where Guides in the Garden came from. And just being able to feel like I was entering into my creative space, but I had guides that could show me the different aspects of myself and what my potential was.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting, talking about this creative journey. And that's like the main message of the book. And if you look at the front cover here, you see this image of this ship. And it plays a key role in the book, talking about this journey and these stories and these adventures that we create about our life and who we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that these stories have such an impact on how we're experiencing our life, our existence here in this physical realm, and really kind of breaking down some of those beliefs and breaking down some of the ways that we view reality and life and the stories that we tell ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It when I was channeling this book, I really didn't know where it was going. It was an adventure of its own, and um, and so really after the fact, me coming back and rereading it and being with it over and over again, I find the brilliance of it, and I find how really it is. It's affecting my life further of how I work with people, how I interact, how I work internally, because what this idea of creation and creating our world, it all comes through this idea of story. Everything becomes linked together through this idea of story. So we're creating this idea of time and space, and we're linking everything together and bringing meaning to our path and where we're going and what we're experiencing. And so story is a beautiful way to step in and say, okay, is my story feeling, what is my story feeling like? Do I feel trapped inside a story and I don't have any power? What is the reality of my story? And from there, we can see into how much we've really owned of our godliness. This is what I call it, godliness. Now, as I've expanded and done more channeling and have been working with different entities, but really tying in and seeing into our God spark or our seed and saying, how am I really owning that? It's beautiful because this book goes into really kind of a way you can look into it. It's almost seeing it into the mechanism, the reality of how things work, and how things work, not just as, this thing far off in space, but how we work and how what we invest in, um, and the choices that we make and how we see these things can really make a difference in our lives. And we really can rewrite our own story. And they talk about one of the major ways that we do that is through play and through being able to expand and change our positions and our viewpoints where we're looking at things from, and also knowing our mechanisms and offering up, trusting in the true source that we are. We can shift, we can look at things, we can reset in new ways so that we can actually come out into a more, what might be called, fulfilling experience of life.
Yes. There are several different analogies and some imagery and so forth that's used in this book. Some of it can be quite fun. I was remembering the experience in one of the chapters of seeing the character a mouse,
Yes.
and a dog, and one of the mouse being the go lucky. We won't use the official names. Some may attached to these iconic characters and
Yeah.
this friendship, and then the goofy dog and this imagery of them um, g- uh, going down the river, and the experience that takes place there, and seeing these characters and how they interact with each other and respond to what happens, and then looking at the belief that's underlying it,
Mm-hmm.
and and all that that is, and then going on to getting down to the mechanics, the literal mechanics inside of how that belief was formed and how that's taking place, and
Mm-hmm.
actually opening up the character
Mm-hmm.
and being able to go through a fun process
Yeah.
of making a shift, a
Yeah.
tiny shift. And that tiny shift actually can have a huge impact on the person's life or the character's life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't have to always be this scary thing.
Yeah.
But even though it does take bravery to step into something new, to try
Mm-hmm.
something new, it
Mm-hmm.
takes curiosity, it takes bravery, but it doesn't have to be this horrible, tough thing. It can be this surprising, unique, fun experience.
Mm-hmm.
And this book really opens up that possibility to people, and in a non-judgmental way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what you just brought up, because I was recently reviewing the book, and I hit that section, and it was so tender to me, because there's a lot of light workers out there, and probably several who will be watching this, and we have such a dedication to helping release pain, relieve people from pain, and what's quote unquote called healing. And it was really beautiful going into that exercise and that experience, because it was like, even if you don't see yourself as a light worker, quote unquote, it's the willingness and the humility that you, as the larger entity that you are, the larger connected, beautiful entity of intelligence, that is the thing that's coming in to help assist, right? And bring you the one little thing. It might be one little tool. It might be one little breath, one little thing that causes that shift that's needed, that could help. And, I know a lot of people in life, we're going around trying everything, how hard do I have to work? How, like how much pressure, trying to find it. And isn't it amazing that there can be an intelligence that sees beyond? Because when we're doing that, a lot of times we're engaging these old patterns of how we think things should be, how we think what we need to do in order to resolve a problem, but we're probably adding on to the issue in some of these points. We're actually creating more triggers and other things. And there's a beautiful natural energy and wisdom in this book that whenever we go in and work on these things, we're entering into play connected to our higher consciousness, connected to things that bring the experience into ease. It brings it into an ease and playful sense, and we get to build our trust in that, in the simple ways, in the tiniest ways, that some small thing can be adjusted in our lives and actually bring us back into more balance and understanding. That talks about us as, the apertures, how we view things, our settings, our mechanisms, and just you being willing to sit and saying, I am ready to experience something new, as this higher self. I'm ready and I'm willing to open. I'm ready and willing to let go of an idea in order for me to be in more peace. And what is that? What is that? And as you just simply are with that in the process, there's amazing, beautiful things that can occur. This I call the grace of God. And, I'm talking to Grace, my twin, which I've had in my life, all my life. But this is the grace of God, right? That we can allow into our system. And as we trust in this playful manner, we open in tremendous ways. And I know we can't go through every single experience in the book, but I think it's really great, because really at the end, you experience a few, you're given examples of other ways you might play. And then at the end, really the door is opened for you to enter in and ask what kind of practices would serve you best. And I think that's ultimately the kind of respect that's in this book, is that we acknowledge this is your world. This is your life. We each individually have unique destinations. We each have unique experiences that we're meant here to come and experience, unique missions. And so really it's about you tapping into the beauty and the intelligence within you, that ever expansive seed that you are. So
and that is so empowering. This book is meant to be empowering. This idea of your journey does not look like someone else's. Even the experiences that you have within the book, and that you travel on within the book, you might be experiencing something slightly different. You're going to gain your own insights. And I think that that's so empowering, and allowing yourself to be curious. And there's a lot of curiosity in this book, and opening in that way with curiosity is really helpful. Because as you were saying, sometimes we get frustrated. We're like, why hasn't this issue been resolved? Why is this thing that is in my life that I don't want to keep on experiencing? Why do I keep on feeling like I'm experiencing that, or maybe slightly differently, but I'm still dealing with this, right?
Yeah.
This frustration. It might be money, it might be relationships, it might be your own self-confidence, it might be, who knows what it might be, right? It's different for every person. But allowing yourself to be in a space of grace, a space of curiosity,
Hmm.
a space of expansion, and then allowing these little things to take place, and stepping back and not being judgmental, because I think that is so critical. Not being judgmental and saying, oh, it's all been resolved completely, okay, that's perfect. Oh no, it hasn't. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Because that is one of the biggest stories people tell themselves is,
Yeah.
oh, I'm still challenged with this thing. What is wrong with me? That is one of the biggest stories that we
Yes.
tell ourselves.
Hmm.
And this book helps you kind of break down these ideas, these expectations that we have, these ways of viewing our life that aren't helpful in any way, shape, or form. And do not,
I
you know,
love that you brought that up because there's actually a section in the book where, they show me as an example of exactly what you're talking about. For me, relationships, quote unquote, have been a huge theme in my life. It's like me trying to figure them out, and being in a relationship, which I view to be, healthy and a sign of like me being in integrity. Woo-hoo, isn't that interesting, right?
yeah,
Um, and when I wrote this book, there's a few spots where I'm used as an example. Basically, my humanness is used as an example. And one of those was surrounding relationships. And it's so interesting because one of the lessons, and sure, we can say don't judge yourself, but a part of our learning process is seeing when we do, and seeing what, for me, I am such a mechanic, and I never thought of myself in that way, but I've met so many people where they're like, you're a systems person, like you like to see how things work, right? And I love to see how things work. And it described me being in a space of doing my inner work and doing my expanding and this kind of a thing. And then this thought coming up to me, why am I not in a relationship? And the judgment coming, the natural judgment, me being in kind of the total unknown, that, I don't know, the space of absolute uh, play, because when you enter into play, you get to say, oh, I don't know, I wonder, when you're in this space of I don't know. And the first thing that I would grab a hold of was, there must be something wrong with me, right? It's like that's the first thing. And being able to identify the things that you lean on when you're in a space of just total open awareness. You're doing what you're doing. And, there's some kind of a demanding voice that comes up, which that says, you should be doing this. Like if I just, have valued being in a relationship, then why am I not in a relationship? Right. And there was no answer immediate. And so the first thing that comes up is a pattern or a cycle that I could see then, right? I could see the
or
pattern,
a story.
a story. Yeah. And it's tied to the story, right?
Exactly.
And the story comes in and tells me A, B, C, D, and E. And what a beautiful thing, because from that point, you can start unraveling it. you can start unraveling the story and what the feelings and the emotions that you've attached to it and what you've given meaning in your life. So gosh, I'm like, how do I best describe this? A part of me wants to just read a part of the section because it's so beautiful. Let me see.
You can even, let's just even discuss it. What are some beliefs that can go along, Gwen? What are some beliefs that can go along with the idea of, oh, I'm not in a relationship. I should be in a relationship because I value a relationship. And what are some of those stories that are connected to that people can tell themselves?
Well, there's a very big menagerie. If I follow it through my brain, the different places that I could naturally land on.
Yeah. Just let's explore a few of those.
It's like suddenly there's awareness. Oh, I'm alone. Right? That's the first awareness. I'm alone.
And what does that mean to be alone? What are the emotions connected with? I am alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the natural thing that I tell myself is we're in a world, right? I'm in a world where people have resolved that. People know how to have beautiful companionship with people. Why have I not created that for myself? Right? Why have I not created that for myself? And so what comes up, what might show up is, and this all comes into a ball. It can come into a ball that creates a story. One might be, oh, there's a thought of I'm not worthy that might show up. Boom.
Yep.
I didn't do this right. Boom. If I'm in a relationship, it's supposed to look this way. Boom.
I'm the one that's in charge of making it work. Boom.
Yeah. I'm the one that's in charge of making it what it is.
Or boom, I have no control over it because the man gets to decide if it works or not.
Yeah.
Boom.
But all of these things start to come into play, perhaps through experience, some of them through even genetic coding and family experience all down the line. The Earth's history and the stories that it's created. And so we're playing in the web of it. And so part of it is that, one thing that I've been experiencing, and this is really cool to think, is like when I reach out for these stories or these ideas and link these things all together, I can say, oh, it's my fault. I created that whole story, right? And feel like it's whatever. But this is in the ethos, right? And we just chose which lines to jump through, right? Yeah. This is how I can see it. I just chose the lines to jump through to create my own reality in the story, whatever that I did.
Yeah.
And it's not like I created the whole ethos per se. I didn't create all of it. It's just that, oh, these ideas were, perhaps easy for me to leap to. They were easy for me to come to provide an answer, to fill in the emptiness or the unknown, right? And then therefore I can see what my tendencies are or what I tend to invest in, right? And so as I look about what I tend to invest in, the thoughts that I tend to invest in, and that's simply how we can look at it, is when I look at those, I can also say, I can also sit back in this neutral space, this neutral standing point of the full emptiness, of the full potentiality, of the I don't know, right? And say and ask for the vision to see into new ways that we can interpret it, or simply clean and clear and unwrap experiences from, the meanings that we assign to them.
Yes.
Like I assigned, to this experience, like John didn't invite his girlfriend to his family reunion. He must not really like her, right? Or he must not really love her, or they won't stay together because of that. Like it's like I picked a point that helped me interpret or make sense of that relationship and why it didn't work out. right? And this is all because I wanted to mm, wanted to create my own understanding of reality, of how things work, right?
Yes, of what a relationship is, or a good or bad relationship is,
Yeah,
and how that works. And
yeah,
therefore you assigned a meaning or a story to that action
yeah.
without even
I,
understanding fully what was going on, when you could have said, "Oh wow, he must love her because his family is drama and horrific, and he didn't
exactly.
want to put her through that. Wow,
Yeah,
he must love her to no end."
exactly.
No?
He must be respecting her because she's an introvert and she wants to meet them individually,
Exactly.
or whatever.
Or yeah.
But it's all assigned through, the little things that we build up over and over again. The guides in this talk about what's called definition ties.
Mhm.
So my definition of this ties it and creates a story out of it.
Yeah.
And so that's something that is really cool. I want to. Oh my gosh! I just opened directly to that page.
Okay, just read that little thing about definition ties.
Yes. Okay. And we're talking about this. So we're talking similarly about these statements. So I'm going to read, referring to the statements of meaning above, perhaps when Johnny doesn't take Katie to his family reunion, you then might say, well, then Johnny must not really love Katie, or he would have taken her. These are kind of the shoulds. This is faulty thinking. This is what we do. And see what you are already doing. You have associated an action to your definition of what love is. So this is what we get to do. We get to see how we associate actions toward our concepts of what things are, what love is, right? And what it must look like. Perhaps Johnny doesn't want to expose Katie to family drama. Perhaps Katie would be too overwhelmed interacting for 3 days with more than 60 complete strangers, and she would prefer getting to know a few individual family members at first. People tend to trap others and themselves into ideas of what love is, what anything is, or is supposed to look like. And then they wonder why they feel so caged, or that they spend so much of their life working so hard because things need to be a certain way. But we are here checking in on it, allowing us to release any definition ties and connect to true meaning, deeper meaning. So this is what we get to do, is we get to unravel these things to come to deeper meaning. Gwen likes this idea of definition ties. She is looking for a way to apply this idea. Instead of something means something else, she will replace the statement with this new view. Here is a statement that she is trying on. She is saying, only 3 people asked me out this year. My definition of love ties that experience or fact to the feeling unappreciated, unloved, and that I am lacking. So that's the experience that was happening there. So what I love this in a way, because definition ties, you can say it and it sounds like a noun, but it's actually an action verb. It's a connector. My definition ties love. My definition of, and you can say my definition of love ties that experience or fact to this feeling. I'm feeling that feeling, this feeling, or this idea because of my definition, right?
Yeah. I think it can be used in both ways, both as a
Yeah,
noun and as a verb, and
yeah,
it can be used powerfully in both ways. And understanding the way our brain is working and the way it's processing things,
yeah.
and using it as a verb helps us be able to look at that process
Hmm.
of how we're going about making our stories, and the
Yeah,
definitions of how things should be and why they should be, and what our life is because of that or isn't, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that that's powerful for us to be able to observe in a non-judgmental way. Non-judgmental in that, oh, I'm such a horrible person. Why didn't I know that before? Why didn't I see that before?
Yeah.
Why blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, I keep on connecting in with this feeling or that feeling. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? No, 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 no.
It was simply programmed. And
Yeah.
when we're in with it in a neutral, loving manner, which neutrality or better, or what you could say, neutrality, when we talk about neutrality, and it talks about it in this book, there is a natural willingness in neutrality of openness, of benefit to life, of a dedication to life. We're in a neutral space, honoring that life is important enough to be in observation of it, that it's important enough that it comes innocent, clean, and clear. And we're the ones providing the meaning and creating the story.
Yeah.
And we can honor that.
Yeah. And what a beautiful thing, recognizing that we've come into a world where all of these meanings, all these patterns are already here. We come into a family with all sorts of beliefs, with all sorts of things that
Yeah.
they are here processing and dealing with. And our societies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what they say a man is, a woman is, the way things should be, what is fair, what isn't fair, etc. The list goes on and on and on and on. How certain people should behave and so forth. And we have the opportunity to then get to the point in our lives where we can take a look at it and we'll say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I have this mask. Society says I need to do this and that and the other. Oh, that isn't what I prefer. I can create a different mask. I'm going to set this down and I'm going to create something new. I'm going to experience something new. And the freedom of being able to do that. There's a moment in this book where you're standing and you're looking out at all the possibilities. And the possibilities are endless. They're vast.
Mm-hmm.
We can make choices and experience new things and try on new masks. One thing I loved about this book also was we shouldn't be attacking the mask. Oh no, you're wearing a mask.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. You come up with a story. You come up with a meaning of this. It's the way our brain works.
Yeah.
It's the way it happens because we're dealing in a physical realm with time.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's going to naturally happen.
Yeah.
So we can't attack the point that we're creating these stories and creating these masks and these different things that we're putting on ourselves and allowing ourselves to experience. We could just simply celebrate the fact and be like, yes, look what I did. Oh, now I can create something else if I want to.
Yeah. And I love that because the entities themselves talk about, let's celebrate that we have these masks, because the way that they actually can come in and influence our lives and connect is through they have subtle masks that they wear so that we can interpret and find a way to understand them and the interaction with them. There are certain blessings that we're given to experience because of it. It's not a bad thing, quote unquote. This is something that we chose to jump into. We chose to jump into this and find a way to use it for our highest benefit. And how are we using it for our highest benefit? Right?
Yeah.
Are we coming to the point where we are finding our deep meaning? Are we coming to the point of that deep connection? Are we coming to the point where we see an expanded story of ourselves? And because of that expanded story, we are able to walk with much more agility. We have much more space. We have much more idea and availability to shift into new views and enjoy life in general. That's my my thing. Enjoy life. Let's just enjoy life in general.
I wanted to bring up chapter 26, owning your own unique deep meaning, which is what you were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The deep meaning and what that is. And it's about us. It's about us discovering ourselves. It's about us discovering more of ourselves. And I loved what it says here. It says here, so how is this knowing oneself done? And it says, in everyday action, in everyday connection and extension and investment of life as the seed. And the seed is talked about in the book, but the seed is that knowing, that understanding that we are creators. We are a part of all that is. And it says, in this way, our lives become imbued with a quality and feeling of meaning. We identify the unique spark that is us, which wishes to be experienced through us, and then embrace it fully. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? And that's what this book is trying to encourage. It's trying to encourage us to find that incredible deep meaning, the uniqueness of ourselves and what we offer, and our ability to create what we wish to create. And in doing so, we basically imbue an incredible deep meaning to our life in everything that we do and every moment of our life. And it becomes much more fulfilling experience, because we know that we are a part of this creation, and we understand our experience here more, and we understand who we are more. So I think that that's one of the keys, and one of the main intents of this book is helping people to break down these stories that we tell ourselves and step out of the story. And be able to recognize a deeper understanding of ourselves and all that we are creating and experiencing on this earth.
Well, and that's the new story.
Yes.
The new story is the expansive story of us. It's the true identity, right? We let go of we recognize there's a mask, but there's a true identity underneath it. An expansive identity that claimed itself to calm down and experience itself in this little way, to put on these little masks, play these little roles, do this little thing, right? And be able to awaken to itself so that it could help direct itself into the calm, the reassuring, the pleasant waters. The cover of the book is it shows a ship and kind of almost a compass in a way, and it has the moon and the sun, and it's on its journey. And in the book, they talk about the essence of time really could be, you could look at it like it's a ship. You're a ship and you're sailing from one shore to the other, right? And that's how we open up into experience the journey. But you're not just the ship. You're the water. You're the side of each shore. You're the sky itself. You are all of it. And when you identify and see yourself as all of it, then you're entering into a whole new experience of life as you know it.
It's a deeper trust.
Yeah.
It's a deeper trust when you recognize that. And the times when there might be a storm or it might get jostly on that ship, you understand the bigger picture. You're connected to the whole of it, and you can move forward knowing that you're going to get through it.
Yeah, I love that. Really quickly before there's a couple of things I wanted to mention. Really, we were just talking about that definition ties, and I feel like there's a little bit more to share with that, because I know, we talk about looking at this in a non-judgmental way, but I think they offer us a good view on how to do that. And so, I talked about how me and that experience of relationships and having a relationship, and me saying that my definition ties that experience or fact to feeling unappreciated, unloved, and what I'm lacking, and that I am lacking. And they say, now all of these statements could be retorted easily, but the point isn't to prove that the information being brought up was wrong or deny it. It's not to deny the feeling. It's not to deny the thought. That point isn't to deny the thought. It's to see it and then to view each of these things separately for what they are. To be with them, to be with the seed of that thought, to be with how I interpreted that thought. So it says, Gwen can sit with the idea of relationships untied from anything else. This is so important. I had a friend describe to me this process just on Sunday. I hadn't seen her for months and months. And she said, yeah, it's been really serious. I've been having to kind of help remove the emotion from the reality of what things are going. She was describing to me situations in her family and so on and so forth. And being with that idea untethered from the story, untethered from a story. And so says she can separate the sensation of feeling unappreciated, unloved, and feeling lacking from each other. I can separate them out and be with them. She can offer each of these feelings love and attention. There are those of you here who have experience in doing this kind of activity. But for those of you who could use some support, I'm just going to offer an example. I'm going to read an example here. All right, so we're going to do a little exercise that is in the book, and I'm so excited to share this with you. This starts on page 172 for any of you who have the book. You can pull that out with me and do this exercise with me. And if you have a paper and a pencil or pen, this also would be really beneficial for this. We're going to get into the crux of how we can unwind and love ourselves as we be with these ideas, these definition ties that we experience in our lives. All right. I'm so excited to share this with you. So always start before any exercise to sit within your intention. So let's take a few deep breaths. And if you have a situation or an idea that you feel like keeps on playing round and round in your life, go ahead and bring that up and take 3 deep breaths and simply bring your intention or what you intend to have happen with it. Don't get too rambunctious, whatever it is. It may simply be, I intend to see deeper into my choices and align my stories and actions with love. See and feel how that releases the ego from being so pressured and involved in the situation, right? We're offering up these stories to love. We're offering it up to alignment. We're seeing into our actions. And as you enter into this field of love, things will naturally start to open. I'm feeling my heart open and saying, yes, let's do this, right? Now, to start the exercise, it may be helpful to imagine holding the original idea before you, the one that keeps on playing out, you feel like you can't free yourself from. Now, imagine it as a huge energetic story ball or a statement ball, a statement saying this is what the truth is, right? From there, you can separate each part out into the different balls with their own energetic signature. Like I said previously, there were these thoughts of me being in a relationship, not feeling loved, or let's see, whatever it is that's showing up. So you have your statement. You have your statement and write it down on your page as that big energetic ball. And now simply identify some different ideas or thoughts that are tied to it. And when that new thought arises, you're going to sit and you're going to draw another ball, another circle, and write that statement in it. So whether it's not feeling loved, I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, if I speak up, maybe I'll be hurt, whatever it is, separate out those ideas that have conglomerated into reinforcing this life experience for you. Right? Now, as you do that, and you'll be able to do this on your own, you get to be with each individual one of these things separate. Give yourself permission to feel and experience these things fully. This is a statement you can use. I allow myself to feel, and then write whatever that thing is that you separated out in my body. Or I allow you, or my inner child, or Gwen, whatever you identify your ego as, to feel or experience blank in my body. This is honoring so the emotion can move and flow through your system and it can be felt. They say, we do not recommend struggling against feeling. Don't struggle against feeling your feelings. When you do this, it looks to us as if you are wrestling against yourself. In the end, if there is a winner, a part of you is left knotted up inside, and thus must turn to other devices to draw your attention back to it. Choosing to struggle against feelings and experiences that may arise can lead to blockages, which then supports disease or increases disease, physically, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. We are not here to support more disease. We are here to unlock it and free it. If you have trouble identifying or separating out certain energies, you can request, I choose to be with the energy of, and then write it down here. Or, I choose to untie and release any additional ties, thoughts, or investments besides the quality or experience of blank in front of me now. So you may say, I choose to untie and release any additional ideas, thoughts, or investments besides the quality or experience of love in front of me now. And as you do so, you'll start feeling an unraveling. You'll start seeing, and these emotions will start moving through you. Pay attention to what occurs. If you are feeling like you are being swallowed up in emotion, you may choose to see into the emotion as an aspect of you being personified. Once again, this emotion, these ideas, they're out in front of you. And even though you can feel the emotion moving through your body, you're not trapped within them. Right? You may view it as a role or an aspect of yourself playing out in energy form. You're just being with it as it's playing out. You're allowing it to play out. You may say, I allow you to play the role you were born to play. You're acknowledging it. Thank you for all that you are and have been, and how you have served me. It's at this time that you may see the crisis that you were in and how this pattern and this emotion stepped in to help attend to you, for you to try to make sense of life. You may hold it in love, just as we have spoken about before. And in this holding, the light of consciousness itself may bring light or open the light within it to itself. Take a moment to breathe into this and feel this. As you breathe and allow your breath to meet this experience and for you to see the light of consciousness itself, this bit of consciousness chose to cling onto this idea, this emotion or action in service to you, trying to be in service of you. And now, as that light is shared with it, it can acknowledge what it truly is beyond what it was invested in. Naturally, as you are with this, because you are the seed and you are claiming it as the seed of light, it comes back into oneness with you. Breathe and feel into this experience, simply allowing it. You do not have to fight any idea. You have identified this beyond what it had been invested in. And as it comes back in and assimilates into your system in this alchemic process, intelligence shares within itself what is the natural remedy or harmony that wants to come back to. It's natural. And you are just naturally bringing yourself back into your feeling of wholeness. Turning the page. Some of that was just me talking, you guys. So this is the bed of neutral compassion, where everything may shine as you identify all as a part of the whole. You need not argue with it, for it was doing its best to serve you at the time, and now it may serve in a new way. If you realize you're not able to be neutral and allow the bed of compassion to simply do its own work, then you can say, I request that love and the bed of neutrality and compassion hold all that is here right now. Thank you. This is something you can be with. If this exercise is a little bit too much for you, simply be in this bed of love and neutrality. And this is something you can sit with over and over again so that this feeling becomes natural to you. If you cry, it's simply the emoting of trapped energy. Trapped energy. You're allowing it to be freed. Now, as you move through and be with each part of these things, new intelligence will come forward. An example is, as you hold things and honor them by themselves, you will be able to experience them in a much more non-biased way and flow, and can then feel more natural and unblocked. You will find that feeling unloved for a moment isn't necessarily all that calamitous if the whole rest of the story isn't tied to it. So, feeling unloved for a moment, or recognizing or feeling that someone doesn't love you for a moment, it won't be that calamitous if it's free from the story that now you're in danger, or that now you'll be rejected, or that now you're not a part of them, or not a part of the group or the family. Does this make sense? Now, one thing that can happen during this process is sometimes while you're doing this, you may find that your instinct is to tie something else to the quality to make it feel connected or of more value, right? We request that you do not do this. Do not play a game of, I thought this was bad, and now I'm going to try and lift it up and make it of more value. The quality is beautiful and valued all by itself, okay? And the value of it will naturally start opening to you. You do not have to set a new standard or a new idea to value it. Be with it long enough to simply feel its value and how it will naturally incorporate into your system. We're not here trying to offset a belief. We're here freeing you into your natural balance. So, we're not trying to feed into further ideas of what you have to do or you should do. This is you freeing yourself for your will to be unstuck, for you to naturally respond in the most productive way.
Gwen,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that an example is important here for them.
Mm-hmm.
Saying the example of unloved and someone being with that feeling of being unloved.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to be in that state and be able to go, oh yeah, you don't know what love is, or to be able to, or say, oh no, I know what real love is. This is what real love is. Or, so they can go a lot of different directions with it. Or, oh no, I need to do this so that I can be loved. So
Yeah.
that they're placing a new idea onto this feeling. And it's very easy to do that.
Yeah.
Very easy to become defensive or to feel like you have to be proactive in creating something new instead of being in that space long enough for the light within to shine through and come up with the most powerful thing naturally for you.
Mm-hmm.
Where someone could say an example, oh, I'm a bad mother. Or being with that feeling, I'm a bad mother.
Yeah.
And, I remember being with my therapist, and their tendency is going to be like, oh yeah, no, you're not a bad mother. Let's come up
Exactly.
with all these proofs and all these things that you can attach to this definition of being a good or bad mother.
Yeah.
And I said, but no, I can say, no, I'm a mother. And
Yeah.
that was the most truthful thing for me deep down inside was
Yeah.
I am a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And no one gets to decide what that experience is, good or bad or this or that or the other. I get to
Mm-hmm.
experience being a mother.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the most powerful thing. that came up through the light to me at the time. But
Mm-hmm.
it would be very easy for me to get defensive or attach something else or create some other definition or some other thing that I needed to accomplish that had to do with being a quote unquote good mother.
Yeah. And I love that example, Grace, because really, and someone could say, oh, but that's the new idea, but really, you being in a state of being able and willing to feel the feeling of being a bad mother, right? And you being able to free yourselves from the cage and the ropes of what that means, right? Of what that means, or
Yeah.
what it is to be a bad mother. If I do this, then that means I'm a bad mother.
Yeah.
Allowing yourself to be freed from that idea having control over you, of manipulating your inner sense of self-esteem, your inner sense of identity, your inner sense of all of these different things in your life. If you being free and you saying, me and my sovereignty, I'm going to take this action, and it's not going to look good to a few people. They're not going to agree with it. But this action is being taken in my sovereignty. I am doing the best, being in the largest depth that I am. And I see the situation in this way. And I'm offering it in this way because I am a mother. And
Yeah.
ultimately, I get to be a mother and decide how I'm going to interact with these beings and help nurture them.
Yeah. And it was very empowering for me because it's very easy to think that somehow you're coming up with this new empowering statement, but you're actually putting yourself in another cage.
Yeah,
It's really easy to do that, and the reason why, the thought of, oh, I'm a bad mother. Oh, things haven't been perfect for my children. Guess what? I can't control everything that happens in their life.
yeah,
But a part of me is like, oh, a definition of a good mother is someone who makes sure everything goes smoothly
yeah,
for their children. And there are many people who believe that, right?
yeah.
And so there's no way you can win.
Mm-hmm,
And I could sit there and attack that idea and be like, oh, that's nonsense, blah, 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 blah.
mm-hmm.
But that wasn't empowered. That didn't empower me
Yeah,
and allow me to be in the moment of actually being a mother and being okay with that.
yeah.
Being okay with just simply being a mother.
I love this because when we talk about this, when we talk about light and intelligence coming forward and naturally bringing balance, the thing that's coming forward is the truth of how life works. And number one of those things is there's choice, and if we don't honor and support each other and being able to have choice, then we're going against and we're causing more contraction and more conflict. Then, if we honor that law, the intelligence of that, and instead, perhaps we're helping direct our children to learn what it is to have choice rather than trying to force the outcome of everything in life to look a certain way, right? And
Yeah.
honoring what that choice is for. That choice is for you to come to know yourself. That choice is for you to learn, to grow, to understand, right? So as we open to these intelligence, this light and intelligence, as we are in this bed of love and neutrality, we start to bring these qualities in. They start to get to shine and emanate in the situations that are occurring and we get to let go of the moments of crisis where we doubted them, where we doubted the system and the godly nature of all that is. And we felt like we were separate and we had to grasp for something to try to understand, right? And we get to let go and ease it and let it flow and move into a more complete understanding of what's available. And, as I do that, this idea of faith becomes much more stronger than me. My vision becomes larger And this idea of faith is just really an acceptance of how large this experience is. And my knowing in this brain right here that that functions in a way that I don't see it all, right? I don't see it all. That can simply be the grace of that understanding can be with me when I'm in the crisis. And it's okay. I can be in the not knowing and I'm still alive and I'm still safe and it's still okay. And illumination and understanding can come in time. And it's okay that I don't know. And I don't have to grab a hold of something else, which would actually cage me again. Right? But
Yeah.
I can try and naturally own this body and this story and walk forward in more compassion and more love. And I think that that's what this process is with this, is that you do that. And, just to sum up this, it goes in and talks about intelligence and opening your understanding as you're doing this practice and this exercise for yourself and the things that you can offer yourself. For me, when I entered into this practice, I was with this feeling of being not enough, of being limited. And there was such a beauty that came through and an honoring that came through when I was with that. Because naturally you want to fight. It's like, no, I'm enough. I'm enough. People want to say that. You want to have good self-esteem, right? Good
Yep.
self-esteem. But at the same time, there's something beautiful that comes from it, a beautiful wisdom. Now, I'm gonna read this last little section. It's about the feeling of lack. Okay. So seeing both the ideas of limitation and lack, that's something I got to be with, separated from my idea of relationships. So how did this idea of limitation and lack, how can it serve me? Right? It served me because when I was truly with it, I got to honor my limitations, my physical limitations, right? There's only so much time I have in a day. What am I going to dedicate it to? To deny that puts me in a world of chaos.
Yes.
Me saying, oh, I can do everything. I'll devote it, whatever anyone requests of me, I can do it in devotion, right? But no, I get to honor. I have one physical body, and I may have all these different entities that may assist me in vast ways. That's a part of it. But also I get to honor, I have a physical body. And so as I honor that, then my action gets to be directed in a way that feels more effective and effulgent and honors myself, that to be what I am instead of what I'm not or what I think I should be,
And it also honors what you choose to do.
Yes.
It adds value to it.
Yes.
Because we have a limitation, then what we choose to do, what we choose to focus on, the actions we choose to make, that all has meaning. It all has value because of that limitation.
Yeah. Who I choose to spend time with, all of these things. And so this is I think a simple way, an example of how what you think might be an issue or something you resist and say, I don't want to feel lack, but as you sit with it and ask it what its gift is to you, the understanding that perhaps I have been resisting, that's a beautiful lesson. It's a beautiful thing to bring into my life and to honor. And it helps me focus on what I desire. Right? I think that's, I think that the beauty of what I wanted to share about the book today, but I will be in different stages, I'll be reading through the book and sharing it online live on my channel. And for any of you who are interested, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to subscribe and get notifications, because then you'll see when I am reading through the book, and we'll be going through these different exercises together. And just there's so much treasure in this book. I just love it. So much. But Grace, do you have any questions here? I'm directing. I stepped in and directing. Grace, do you have anything else? I'm handing the reins back to you, hostess.
Why, thank you, Gwen. No, I think, considering the time that we spent, I think this has been a wonderful experience. And I am just so very glad that I was able to be a part of publishing this book. And there's a lot of things that I learned and a lot of things I can go back and gain a deeper understanding with. It's one of those books that you definitely can read it several times. And there are many exercises within it that can be used over and over again. And so, gosh, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Thank you for allowing me to host. And I hope people will take the time to listen in as you're reading, to maybe order the book, and to be able to express if there's anything that they've learned as they go about reading this book or experiencing you reading it for them. So
yeah,
that's what I have to say.
Exactly. I guess this is an invitation to anyone listening. Order the book and go through it with me when I read through it, and I'll be reading it, but also I'll stop at certain spots and kind of share some illumination that I have, just as I shared a little bit about this. I've opened up and seen into a lot of my stories after, since I've written the book, and more revelation coming through me. I have so much to share. And if you start seeing it, they'll be live. What I'll be doing is we'll be live, and you can jump on in, and you might ask me a question or something like that, and I might be able to answer. So, yeah.
Great. Do you want to end with any kind of channeling, any messages?
Exciting! I'm going to
end with.
Yes, I'm going to do that, since this is Welcome to Channeling. I'm going to sit back, and it's funny. I usually have water with me. Usually when I channel, my water is gone, but I'm going to pretend that I just drank some water here. And I'm going to connect in. Dear Gwen, we are here. Yes, we are here. The guides in the garden, the guides of the way of all. We hold a tender heart in your spot for all that you are doing here and sharing with people. And we are proud that you are taking this step in how you are sharing with people. This book was prepared by many who are invested in the beauty of your life and the beauty of the earth and the changes that are occurring on it. It is designed to assist people into identifying their true spark, for them to let go of all the ideas that have weighed them down, for them to walk freely and know that they are one with the earth and all that is, that they may dance and sing and draw beauty into their lives. And we say draw, we mean draw as in them drawing the experience themselves, like unto them holding the paintbrush or the crayon, and them drawing the tree and the animals and the birds and the beautiful people in their life, and how they smile and how joy is expressed in their life. For this is an opportunity for us all to know that we may imbue joy in our lives. We may imbue all of what we enjoy in our lives. And so when we say for you to be in joy, this is the beginning of what people call their desire to manifest. This joy is their desire to manifest And as you imbue this joy in your life, you will thus see the beauty and the power of what you are, the beauty and the power of the choice that you were given here to know and to be in, within, and act through your godliness. And thus, as we have stated in this book, you walk on a beautiful path, the golden path, where each step is you meeting yourself in all of your holiness and all of your grace. This is the beauty that we see, the vision that we see, and that is present within your garden, Gwen. And we invite all here to enter into their own gardens, to see their own spirit, invite it to be there, and see how they may invest in making their garden bloom. Each one of you, your garden will look different and unique, but it will shine as you discover the ways you may invest, nourish, and support yourself in your life. And thus it will spread in great ways. And we create a new earth, many earths, blossoming and blooming, bright and full of life. This is our investment here with all of you. And we acknowledge all of you as brothers and sisters, many of you who are here listening now. This was a part of your path to listen now, to hear these words, and to claim yourself and your garden, you as the seed. We invite you to come, to listen, to enjoy and celebrate with the many who will read these books, not just this one, but the ones to come, for there are others to come, and this is the first of many. And so we invite you on this path to come enjoy, dance, and be free. We say this in all holiness and love, as guides in the garden and guides of the way of all.
Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, guides in the garden, guides of the way of all. Thank you for being here today with us. And we hope you join us on our next episode of Welcome to Channeling.
Click the link below to receive your very own free soul play meditation, reboot, or soul song. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Welcome to Channeling. Till the next episode, own your stage and play on.
Hot Muffin Media.